Hey guys, Coach Dan here. So on the way here today, I had a bit of a lack of motivation kind of feeling or sensation, and I shifted my mindset, which I'll share with you now, which is quite powerful. I think working with kids these days, or at the moment, should I say, in a high school as a strength and conditioning coach, you realize everything's a game to them. They treat everything as if it's a game and it's fun and all that kind of stuff. And it's never really hard work to do something when it's a game to you. So, as I'm coming in today, I'm thinking, oh, geez, it's been a big week. I'm a bit knackered. I'm not feeling this workout. It's like, well, no, let's treat it like a game. Let's treat it like something that's fun. And with that in mind, it's not work to then come and do it and try and get better and try and best what you did last time at this game and stuff like that. So, yeah, and that's been really helpful. That makes this feel like, oh yeah, let's go. Let's try and do these stiff-legged deadlifts better. Let's, explore this new exercise I'm going to try today. Let's do this. Let's make it fun. Let's make it a game. And that's been really helpful. So just an idea there for you if you kind of find yourself lacking motivation. Instead of thinking, I have to go to the gym and do work. It's like, oh no, let's go and play the game. Let's go and have fun. Let's enjoy it. And try and best what you've done before and best it again and, have fun with it. That's it. So gamify, essentially. All right, down to the nuts and bolts of it. So lower body workout number 2 for the week. So we start with the big posterior chain movement, which is the stiff-legged deadlift. I'll show you how to do it such that we want to get the hamstrings nice and jacked up. You get a little bit of glutes, and then your back has to work pretty hard to hold the tension. So we'll do that first up, and then we've got a couple other things we've got to change from last week, just to, again, I've mixed some things around just due to fatigue. So I'll see you out there in a little bit. First up, stiff-legged deadlifts or stiffies. Let's go. All right, first we have the stiff-legged deadlift. So I'm using the stiff-legged deadlift to target my hamstrings, and that technique is a little bit different than if you just wanted to deadlift and get as strong as you can at the deadlift. So for me, it's about feet hip width apart. I've got my little straps here to help with grip. Hands directly outside the level of the shins. So as I go to begin this movement, before I start, I'm going to lock my back on nice and tight. So getting into this position where my back is neutral, you can see how high my hips are, and I already feel tension on my hamstrings here. So if I were to do a deadlift where I bent my legs, some of that tension goes away from my hamstrings and goes into my legs and my glutes and stuff like that. For me, it's about hamstrings. So it's hips high, as long as I can keep a neutral back. Nice big stretch in the hamstring. Stand up. And then we reverse on the way down. Feel that stretch. And there. So, stiff-legged deadlift for hamstrings, hips high. Feel hamstring stretch. Less knee bend is usually a good idea here, as long as your mobility allows for it. So if you can't get all the way down, you can set your weights on little blocks so you can come a little higher. If you have extra flexibility, you can set a plate or a platform here so you can go further down. All right, we've got 3 sets here. Got a couple more warm-up sets to go. That is the stiff-legged deadlift. Pretty good today. So again, that one being towards the end of the week is pretty tiring. But to gamify, I tried to add 1 rep to last week, and I did that today, which was pretty cool. So again, gamifying, just making fun. As long as your technique stays the same, if we can go up in reps, that's going to directly lead to progress. Reps, weight, etc. Keep the technique the same. Keep striving to get it a little bit better. Can make it fun, but also can ensure we're making progress. All right, now we've got to unload this shit. Split squats next. All right, the 45-degree leg press. I want to make this as quad dominant as possible, so I'll show you how I do that. So first we have the yoga blocks again. They feature in a lot of areas of my training to increase range of motions where machines don't quite meet the range of motion that I'm after. So again, if we're trying to train a muscle, there is definitely some merit to training it through a lengthen or stretch position. So what that would mean for your quad is we want lots of knee flexion because your quad extends the knee. So to flex it would stretch it out as far as possible. So when setting up technique, do you need to go for max knee flexion? No, but again, you probably want a decent amount. And if we can figure out how to set it up such that we get that, the potential is that it can get good, potentially better or equal growth to going through a lesser range of motion for less weight. So less stress on the body, less stress on the joints for more muscle growth or equal muscle growth. So in my mind, that's a big win. So when I go to set up for this, I set my feet pretty low on the platform, shoulder width-ish apart, toes slightly out. But again, this can vary greatly per person. It's pretty low. So again, what this is going to allow is lots of knee flexion and making it quite hard on my quads. Control the way down, feel the quad stretch right out and drive up, flexing those quads. Now, if I wanted to make this more glutey, I would take my feet higher on the platform. That would give me less knee flexion and more hip flexion, making it more about my glutes. So it's been a hot minute since I've had this in my program. So I'm just going to check my log, see what weight I've lifted before. I'm thinking about 10 to 15 reps, 3 sets. This is a little out of order. Normally I would do this third, but what I had upcoming was unavailable. So check my logs, build up to something that's challenging for today, and then we go for it. That is the 45-degree leg press. Oh, that's nice. Back in the game, I checked my log. Last time I did this was September last year, which is, at the time of recording, 6-ish months ago, half a year. So I can check my weights that I lifted then, come back to something similar and see where strength is, and then progress from there, trying to get better than I had done previously. And that's the goal again, gamify. Next week I know I gotta go try and get 1 or 2 extra reps.
and so on and so forth. And that's just continuing to put in that effort to try and make your body progress. The first 2 sets stuffed me up pretty good, so I had to drop the weight for the 3rd set, but I did 3 sets there, 10 to 15 reps, and yeah, that's nice. That's how I remember the leg press to be. So I had been doing belt squat here, but the reason I made a sub is just it's not feeling as effective as it once did. If you want to see how I've done the belt squat, click on the video up here. I'll slot a card in there and then you can see. So they're obviously different movements. I make them both as quad dominant as possible. So feet low on the platform, as low as possible while keeping your heels on there is my usual strategy. Toes out to what's comfy for you and can allow for good knee flexion to stretch out the quads. So yeah, try it for yourself. See what position makes your legs feel like they're working the hardest and then work on that. No joint pain, all that kind of stuff. Whew. All right, let's go. Maybe I peed myself a little. Maybe it's some of my drink on my pants. Who knows? All right, next up we have our rear foot elevated Smith machine split squat. So this would traditionally be my second exercise. Reason being is that my quads are usually pretty dominant. So if I go and do leg press and then come over here, I can often just really feel my quads get pretty fucked up. So I would usually do these in the opposite order, but today availability just went this way, so we're doing this next. So I've flipped it around from last week so you can have a look at what it looks like front on. So I will line up my front foot in line with the bar. I've got rear foot elevation back here quite high because I want to make this glutey. I want to finish in this kind of position where my chest is all the way down to my leg, basically, making my glute stretch out pretty significantly. Now, if I set my front foot directly under the bar, where this weight comes down will also be directly under my knee and not close to my hip. Again, making that harder for the muscles that need to extend my hip, which is my glutes. So those are the 2 things I'm thinking about here. Bring the weight down away from the joint that's working and the muscle that's working. So that would be glutes. So I want it over the knee so it's not as quaddy. And then when I get to the bottom, I also want a lot of flexion through my hip to stretch out the glute and really smash it out, right? So I'll lay my first foot first, kind of pop the bar off, twist it out, back foot goes up, lean forward into it, drive up through that front leg. So this is probably going to be pretty tough, being that my quads are pretty smashed. Do a couple on the other leg to test out. Oh yeah. That's a rear foot elevated Smith machine split squat. Could do dumbbells, but I like the Smith machine on a lot of things, keep me stable and just really go to town. All right, a couple moments here, and then we've got 2 sets here. Hopefully the quaddies can hang in there and I don't piss my pants anymore. So that is the rear foot elevated Smith machine split squat. It's really good. Some things to consider. Because I've got a significant lean forward, there is that little bit of back fatigue kicking in. So that's a factor. I had my belt on the first set to try and counteract that. But then again, like my chest and my belly kind of hitting the belt was pretty uncomfortable. So without the belt, felt better. My back was okay on the second set. So maybe just a bit more practice. But yeah, really glute dominant. So again, same strategy applies. We have the front foot underneath the bar. So you line up, line the front foot, like heel even of the front foot, directly underneath the bar. I've got the elevation of this could be bench, whatever it might be, nice and high. And that's gonna end me up in this position where I'm almost like chest down on my leg. And again, key things about that is it stretches the glute muscle out, because that's the kind of range that the glute goes in, or the hip, and the glute extends the hip, as well as setting the bar directly over my ankle or foot here means the weight or the force is coming down over the knee. And in that situation, it makes it easier to extend the knee because of this moment arm, and harder to extend the hip. So essentially, all those technique cues are about making this as most effective for the glutes as possible, right? Okay, booty done. We've got a little bit of extra hamstring volume on a machine. Lying hamstring curls to cap off the volume for the hamstring. So I've already done stiff-legged deadlifts, which were dominated by, or not dominated by the hamstring, but that's what I was trying to target on those. But there comes a time with stiff-legged deadlifts where they just become very fatiguing. So I want a little bit extra volume, don't want all that weight in my hands, I'm stress on my body. Sounds a bit lame, but this way I can get a little bit extra volume into the hamstrings without it being super fatiguing. Now on my other lower body day, I already do the seated hamstring curl. In this workout, I had two options to go to for my hamstring exercise. I've chosen this one just because it's been the longest since I've used it. That's as complex as that is. It's not that it's better, it's just that I haven't done this one in a while. I usually like it a fair amount, so it comes back in. So a couple of tips: where we set this ankle pad, this thingy there, we want that to be kind of down by the ankle. The closer it gets to the knee won't kill you, it'll just essentially make you have to lift more weight, because you're just putting yourself in a more advantaged position to lift the weight biomechanically. So have it right by your ankle, somewhere where it kind of locks into place. You lock on here, I've got handles, I've got forearm pads, lock in, and then we go heels towards the butt, control the down, let the hamstring stretch out, and repeat. Nothing too much to be said here surrounding foot position, so wherever you feel comfy. Some people like to flex their toes towards their knees. There might be some advantage to that as far as stretching the hamstring out a little more goes. So I've got 3 sets here, 10 to 15 reps. I know my weight because I had it in my log. Yeah. So I'll go somewhere around that and then see where my strength's at today. Alright, lying hamstring curl done, 3 sets there, 10 to 15 reps. So, there is some direct research surrounding the seated hamstring curl, which I do on my other lower body day, and the lying hamstring curl. And that would suggest that the seated hamstring curl, where you sit and you pull your heels into your butt like so, is better for muscle growth. However, it doesn't mean that this one has no value at all. So, as far as exercise variation goes, we can slot this one in, and it also might potentially work the sartorius a little better, which is a muscle that kind of runs through the hip in through the inner thigh. So there's definitely some merit to some lying hamstring curl, even if it is just for variation. And to me, it feels pretty effective, so that's good. And again, just a little bit extra hamstring volume without fatiguing my back with deadlifts and stuff like that. Okay, couple of things to go. All right, let's get some abs in the mix here. So I'm going to do a GHD sit-up. Now, the reason I do the GHD sit-up is because of this curve here. It allows for the natural curve of my lower back. When we're thinking about training the rectus abdominis, or the six-pack abs, we're thinking about pulling the bottom of the sternum down towards the pelvis and then opening that up. And that's the action of the muscle we want to train. So if we do a sit-up on the ground or on something flat, it could often be just this hip flexion, or should I say like that, hip flexion. So it's coming from the hips and can be quite hip flexor-y. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this pad to kind of open up my lower back or my lumbar spine and then sit up from there. So if you had a ab mat, you could do the same thing at the ground. We just don't have an ab mat here. So I'm going to set this such that my lower back's going to round over this. I've got a pretty significant knee flexion here. Again, to kind of keep my rectus femoris or the hip flexor quad muscle chill. So I'm in this bent knee position. I roll, open up, and then come in. And remember, bottom of the sternum, take that away from your pelvis, and then bring it towards the pelvis. It's not straightening the legs and flexing the hip. It's this opening up and closing. Stretch away, pull towards. So this towards this away from this, and that's going to train what we want to train here. I have done these once before in my program. I have been doing the abdominal cable crunch for a little while now, but it's just starting to feel a little bit less effective. So this is going to be my abdominal variation today. I've done these weighted before, so I suspect I'll be doing that as well. Just check my log and then we'll get started. All right, so that is the GHD, which is what this machine is called, sit-up. So again, using the curve of this, kind of naturally align with the curve we have in our lumbar spine, making us do this sensation of opening this up and closing this down, which is going to make us train this. If you didn't have a curve like this or an ab mat, again, it can be absolutely fine. It's just that then it becomes hip flexion and hip extensions, training the hip flexors. I want this to be purely abdominal. So using this, opens that up, closes that down, pretty good. Lock my legs in, bend the knees again, and flex the hips, so shove myself way this way. And that just allows the hip flexors to chill and just go to town the abs. And that was terribly uncomfortable. That was 3 sets. I have a weighted dumbbell there, but I started off with body weight when I did it previously. Very good, very effective. That's nice. That's going to be brutal. All right, calves to finish. You're guilty. All right, we're here. We're at the final hurdle. We're going to do a single leg Smith machine calf raise. Now, I'm going to do this single leg because if I go both legs at one time, it'll be a significantly heavy weight. Again, I don't have too much juice left in me, so putting a heavy weight on my shoulders, call me a pussy, but that's where I'm at this stage. So with this one, I'm going to set the box up, again, directly under the bar, even the back edge of the box directly under the bar. So when I stretch down, my heel's going to come towards the ground. I'm going to raise up on the toes. This is going to be coming down, and I'm going to be working directly against it. So box underneath the bar high enough that when my heel comes down towards the ground, I don't hit the ground. So I just need a high enough step for that, no higher. Big stretch, feel that calf stretch out, raise up. So another important key here for this one is to keep at least the ball of your big toe on the platform. If you slide off the back such that you're tippy-toeing it, you'll find that you can't produce very much force. So if you slide off, shuffle back on, get the ball of the big foot on there so we can produce good force, right? Big stretch, 10 to 20 reps per leg. Again, this is a bit of a pain in the ass because I'm gonna have to do both legs here, and that is going to take more time, but how I'm going to counteract that is I'm going to use one leg as the other leg's rest. So bup, 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 5 times through. My only calf exercise, then we out. Yeah, so single leg calf raise. We had been doing belt squat calf raise, which made sense whilst doing the belt squat because immediately afterwards, finish the belt squat, already have some of the weights there, didn't have to unload. So we're going to sub this in for today because it would be, you know, efficient to leave that for when I am doing the belt squat. All right, let's go. Oofed. Nice. So there is a downside to doing that single leg at a time, and that is you have to suffer 2 times. But for me, at this stage of the workout, the local pain is, I think, going to be better off than a heavy weight put on my back. So my calves feel jacked. I just went from one leg to the other leg, treat it like a bit of a superset. So this leg, mark down the reps I've got, this leg, and just continue on like that. So yeah, you have to do both legs, but one leg almost serves as a rest for the other leg and vice versa. Not too bad, very effective, I quite like that. So belt squat calf raise out, single leg Smith machine calf raise in, which I like. Smith machine helps keep you nice and stable, which is good. So you'll set a box, enough space that you can get a big stretch in the calf. I've weighted it down on the other side with a weight plate so it doesn't flip or anything like that. And that's that. Beauty, all done. Let's get out of here. So that's a wrap on that lower body workout, guys, a good one. Again, when I was coming to the gym, not a heap of motivation, but the idea of gamifying made it a bit fun for me. So it's like, okay, how can I make this a game like a kid? And this is the playground to kind of make it fun. And sometimes that's a really important thing, is that fun. When I first start with new clients and stuff like that, you know, the temptation is to make it as effective as possible. But if they don't enjoy it, they won't keep coming back. So fun is good. Fun makes it like it's not work at all. It's not an effort at all. You know, if you're going to play a game like kids do, you don't think, oh, you know, I'm too tired, I don't want to play this game. Or maybe you do, but you're like, still, once you get there, you start to have fun, and it's all gone basically. So gamify, try and make it yourself a little bit better over time, make it fun, make it, you know, enjoyable enough that coming back is not so unpleasant. So all in all, really happy with that. Had to make a couple of changes. I didn't have to, but there was some there that, again, just losing a bit of, you know, feeling of effectiveness of some exercises. So, you know, taking the belt squat out for leg press after the first set of leg press, legs feel jacked up already. So that's a good sign. I'm normally someone who doesn't change things pretty much very, very rarely. So sometimes,
you need to be reminded to kind of switch it up, and you go, oh yeah, now that's what effectiveness feels like. I only took one set, my legs were jacked. So those are good signs. Now, as always, if you like this kind of video and you want to watch more, click the subscribe up here for me. That would be much appreciated. If you want to see this playlist of videos and how I train other muscle groups, click the playlist up here, which will show you how I train all the other muscle groups for my workouts. And always remember, it's about progress over perfection. Coach Dan, signing off.